Okay, I'm going to try and finish off some of the welding I'm doing on this edge here, and hopefully capture it on video. Hopefully it looks quite cool. Give her a go. I found the best way of doing it is by nearly leaning on the floor. But we'll see. Should have my gloves on as well, but I don't know. Okay, so I'm doing a bit down here. Come on. Yeah, as you can see, I've been sort of like butt welding it halfway down the sill. It's gone sort of alright, not too bad. So, we've got a new piece of metal, old piece of metal, came along here underneath this reinforcing plate, so I put a bit of a loop up here so that the reinforcing plate could come down and touch on it. Move the light so we can see, so the reinforcing plate could touch on it. And then this side, a bit of a mystery what's supposed to happen here. I think this floor is supposed to sort of go in there a little bit and cover up some of this, and also supposed to loop up over the top, covering that. And it sort of does there, but it's rotted out around this front corner. So yeah, and then like I said, I'm going to cut all the way along here and see if that, I don't know, I mean there's a lot of good metal here. Maybe I could take it as low as that. I don't really know really. I was wondering about just adding in some metal at this top corner though, that's a bit rubbish. Bit ropey. So yeah, either way along there, all the way up to this front edge here with a flange on it there. But first I've got to make the piece that goes underneath there, and that's proper ropey. Right, I'll capture where I'm up to. So this bottom section was all rusted out, so I've cut along that line there and then welded in a new section of Zintec sheet, 1.2mm sheet, so it's a lot thicker than the original. And I had to sort of, I got a bit carried away, so I was welding and then grinding back and welding, grinding back, but I had to sort of lay off on the grinding because you're just making the parent metal really, really thin, and then it's just more likely to blow through, so yeah. And then this front end flange here, I just drilled and puddle welded the top piece onto the new piece that I've done on the bottom. And then this corner in here, I've had to just trim back a little bit to fit the new piece of floor that's going in. Back here, there was a little bit here I had to weld in, and I'm quite pleased with how that went. That went quite nicely. So no, it looks a bit scruffy at the corner here, and you wouldn't normally weld like that. It's spot welded instead, but it's just easier and stronger for me to do it like that. And then afterwards, whenever the shell comes off the chassis, then I'll do the proper, you know, again drill and fill the flange onto the sill underneath when I've got better access to it. I haven't got it now. Right, so the next piece of work I'm going to do is fit this outrigger in a sort of temporary location. So you can see what I've done is I drilled out the spot welds on the old piece and I cleaned up the metal, and now this is going to sit around there-ish, And up the top end here, I just move this out of the way. That red hole lines up with the hole underneath it, I think. So it's something like that. And then you see, oh my god. Where's the hole there? So you can see that lined up with that. So what I'm going to do is probably bolt this on. I'm going to have to have a little think now what I'm going to do, because I'm going to probably, I can bolt this on. This needs to be spot welded to this further brace. And this is going to be spot welded to the new piece of floor pan. So, what do I do? I'm thinking I might sort of bolt this on so I have a rough idea of where the position is properly. Then I think I'm going to place that floor pan on top of it, and I'm going to mark the position of this outrigger on the floor pan, on the bottom of the floor pan. I've actually already done it roughly to get an idea of where it's going to go there. And then I'm probably going to fix this to the floor pan off the car, and then slot the new piece in and then get it all properly. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, I'm not very sure, to be honest. I can't think how else to do it, to be honest. Otherwise it just means welding this on the underside of the car, and I know I have to get to the underside of the car, but it's just, I don't know. I think it'd be easier to fit this to the floor pan and then weld the floor pan in. And what I'm going to do with the floor pan, so again, I'll get this out of the way. Think. Where did it go? Come on. So with the floor pan, this is not a full floor pan, it's only like a repair section. So there wouldn't have been a seat here, it's just one continuous sheet of metal all the way back. So what I want to do is put this one under this one with a lap there, and I'm gonna so I can do that hopefully. Like that. See, I've done a little bit of tweaking already, and so basically, yeah, this now fits. So what I'm going to do is drill and fill this panel along this edge, but from underneath, the water won't be able to get up this seam. So coming off the front road wheel, it won't go. If I had him lapped the other way, then it would be water would end up getting on this part of the floor off the road wheel. So hopefully this way, yeah, the lap weld is the wrong way. The seam's the wrong way. It's the same as the front here. So again, the forward part of the floor goes underneath this part of the floor. So very, very nearly there. See, this is quite neat and tidy in there now. So I think with a little bit of primer on all of this, I think it will look, and a bit of seam sealer, I think it's going to end up looking pretty good. I have put these little divots in the floor pan behind it. Yeah, it's probably not going to line up perfectly, but it'll be all right. I think there, yeah, there is one there. But yeah, nearly done the front floor pan. But bear in mind, I did have to cut away the outer skin and the inner skin, and I repaired the sill as well. So I've done the sill, cut that out, all the rust out of there, and I've done. Let me just show you down here. Showing, where are we? Yeah, there. So you've got all that new metal as well, going back there and onto this front edge. There. Oh yeah. Found this, so I'm not very happy about. So there's some pinholes in the bottom of this panel, but in all fairness, it has got a, I don't know if you can see, yeah, there's a dent there as well. So maybe we'll replace this as well, but I don't know. Anyway, we'll do the structural stuff first, and then we'll get on to the cosmetic stuff. Little bit of a mess here. Go back over to here. This opened up all by itself. Again, it's there's a cross member underneath, which I think is fine, but unfortunately the leaded edge of the cross member has caused this damage here. So don't know what I'll do. What I'll probably do is just skim out the floor, just weld in a little square there. I think what I'm slowly coming to accept is that you know, this is how it looked, you know, 20 years ago, and I'm here repairing it. Maybe in another 20 years time I'll be ripping out my own repairs and putting in a full floor pan. So yeah, and probably a new toe board and the whole assembly, you know, rip that all out and do it again. Just looking at this rusty I have to replace. I've got the replacement panel. But the problem is I was trying to figure out what size I need, you know, how big the panel is, and it's really difficult to get in because you've got all the bits of the feature. I don't want to just chop out an arbitrary amount. So what I did was make a paper template which sits on top of here nicely, and then I put that on the car like that. Fitting better than it does. And then I just came along with a rattle can and just sprayed around the edges. And when you take that off, it's clear where the edge of the new panel is there. So you know how much to chop out. So you can see all of the spot welds along the bottom there. So I'll have to start drilling those out next. And then it comes to the decision of where I'm going to chop it and the original panel. So I think I'd like to lap these as opposed to butt weld these. From experience, this metal is thin. My other thought is I want to lap it so that water coming off or running down the inner wing doesn't go into the seam. You know, I mean, I'm also going to put seam seal on and stuff. But I think ideally then, in that case, the new panel is going to tuck underneath this old one so that any water will still fall over it, just like I've done with the floor. I've done the same with the floor. Now, the inner part of it, I don't know. Again, it's probably going to go underneath just because the top bit's underneath. But that's probably going to be a bit trickier, and also probably won't make much difference. But yeah, the road wheel's going down like this, so it's going to be pushing water that way, and water's going to be running down this way. So all the way, I think the old panel needs to go over new. I've got fancy nails now. Right, this is where I'm at with this one. So I've lapped it and then welded both sides. I've done these little tacks to try and stop the panel warping so badly. I haven't done anything along the bottom yet on the outside because I'll have to do that from the inside. And then we've got a bit of an overlap here, which is an overlap over to the front. Again, tacked all down the outside. And then I'm going to have to grind all this back now and have a look what that looks like. Let me show you the inside. Got the welding helmet on, so it's a bit tricky. Yeah, so you see I've tacked onto the floor and then all around the outside there, and then I'm going to grind it and then seam seal it, and then this front edge, come on, focus. Nah, I can't do it. Anyway, the front edge there, I couldn't put any more tack welds around that corner because I just can't clean up the metal. But there's going on the inside panel, so once I've put some seam seal on there, it should be fine. And this is what that join looks like. Again, I haven't cleaned anything up, so it's a bit of a mess. But yeah, solid. Right, this is it after I've cleaned it up, ready for seam sealer now. I'll also trim this bottom edge here, and then again I'll come back along once the shell's off the chassis and tidy up the bottom edge. I'll probably angle up the whole shell up on one side or something, and then try and do all the bottom stuff. But yeah, so I haven't plug welded. What I've done is lapped it by about half an inch, and then done all these little tacks on both sides. So that's going to be, it must be at least as strong as a single piece of metal. And remember, this is thicker than the original steel as well. So yeah, perfectly happy with that. I'm also going to run a bit of seam sealer around where this reinforcing panel is spot welded on, like the original was, because I'm sure it must stop rust happening in between, and then you get this laminating or delaminating effect. Yeah, earlier on I was having a look at the chassis. There are a few spots where it's quite a lot of rust coming through, but we'll see the extent of it when we take the body off. I've done the same thing, cleaning up the welds here. Again, I know it looks scruffy, but I don't know. Bit of seam sealer will be fine along there. So obviously it should look like that side, no seam whatsoever, and I'm going to have this little patch at the bottom. But I think with a bit of seam sealer, a bit of paint, I think it's going to look very neat and tidy. And what I'll do is cut that patch to match this one, so that you know, to all extensive purposes, it looks like an original thing and doesn't look so much like a patch. And then the rest of the floor, so we've got this little patch here, the front panel there, and the toe board, and that is about it. There's a tiny bit down here, but I think once I get rid of all the seam sealer, maybe I'll get some kind of like rust neutralizing type stuff. Probably need to take these off as well. So I think of the seat belt, something to do with the seat belt, can't think of what it is. Take these off and just make sure it's not rusted underneath. Yeah, but just a lot of cleaning and tidying up to do now. You see that back panel back there does appear to be okay, but I may get my little wire brush that I've got somewhere and start poking around and just make sure it is solid metal, because the worst thing would be if we painted it and then I found more rust. Yeah, and then it's then I'll probably pull the whole car out, turn it round, and start on the passenger side. Just offering up this panel I've got as well. This is again a repair panel. You can get the full windscreen panel, which comes up to here, and get this, which comes halfway up. Now, the Ecus website says this requires a lot of like skill to put this on, so no doubt I'm going to be regretting my decision. But the reason why I went with this is because the patch panel comes halfway up the windscreen. So once the windscreen's out, the only bit of butt welding you have to do is halfway up the windscreen here. So you're only going to have a tiny bit of bodyworking to do here. You can leave all of the top, all of that structure and all of these spot welds and everything else exactly as it is. And then basically down from here we'll punch the outside of this panel. We'll just do some spot welds in there, puddle welds in there. We're going to do a bit down this bottom edge here, and around the corner here, and then obviously this bit is going to be tucked underneath the bulkhead probably, is it? I'm guessing, I don't know, I haven't looked before. But yeah, in general this bit here just always rusts like it has on this one. Just move the Sharpie out of the way. How awful it is rusting down there, so that's going to get rid of all of that metal. the whole flap's going to be, flat panel's going to be new. I'll get rid of this little dent that they've got in the panel here. And most of the spot welding will be underneath the windscreen rubber. A little bit visible down the side here. A little bit of tidying up to do around this corner. Everything else hidden underneath the bonnet. And then, like I said, just a tiny bit of bodywork in here. So I reckon it's the easy way out. But like I said, Eckers say this is going to require some skill to fit, and I don't know that skill, so who knows. But yeah, I'm excited to fit that bit. I'm leaving it till last. Well, last. Yeah, I've also got new ones of these. This one's got a dent halfway down. The other one I remember having some rust halfway down it. So, and it's definitely got pinholes at the bottom. So, new one of those as well. Then we'll put this on. So yeah, I'll have to cut here, skim this panel off. Yeah, it'll be big amount of work to do that bit, but that will be it for the shell then, and then the shell can come off the chassis. And I'm thinking now, I saw a different YouTube channel called, I think it was just called Citroen 2CV was the channel name, and they split the shell and the body and then got the shell resprayed by itself. So it was a really clever idea. It just fit in the back of a van, so that works for me. And then I'll get all the separate panels all resprayed as well. So that's the plan at the moment. And then while the shell's off, I can be swapping all the running gear off the old chassis and onto the new one, running new brake lines, fuel lines. You know, making sure the engine and gearbox are all perfect. Putting that on. Maybe I'll do a little bit of tidy up. See how, I don't know. Maybe leave it. What do you reckon? Part of me thinks, you know, a lot of it is just cosmetic, you know. It's a bit dusty and dirty and rusty, but who cares? It's also got oil leaks all over the place, so don't know. Yeah, you see my attempt at trying to get these to seal. Yeah, and then we'll probably try and all these axles, take them off again, clean all the excess grease off them, and then again try and get rid of any rust and paint them all up before they go back on the painted chassis, which is patiently sat there on its side for about 2 years now. Cool. Anyway, so that's where we're at the moment.